Hello, and welcome to episode 5 of the Mythilosophy podcast. This is part 2 with Lucy. And the intro this week is being done inside. Because last week's one, although the finished article was beautiful and it looked really lovely, what you didn't see was the rain cloud that erupted halfway through doing a recording. So me having to kind of shut it all down and take cover, and the long walk to actually find a good place to do it, to get that kind of finished article. So yeah, I think I'll check the weather better next time before I decide to do one outside. So anyway, today this week's one is inside. So yeah, this is part 2 with Lucy. We talk more about forest school and how it actually works. We talk about things called schemas, which is kind of how the kind of education is based around these set schemas, because you have certain groups of people that are good at this, and I won't give too much away, but it's all in the conversation. We also talk about the fact that it's not just a small class size. Forest school can be done with like a sort of larger number of people as well. And we also towards the end talk a bit about taking stuff out of your comfort zone, and doing stuff like Lucy does an improv class which I went to, which was just out of this world fantastic, and it was pretty frightening, going amongst a new group of people, and doing something completely different, putting yourself really out there, laying yourself bare. So yeah, but no, it was really fun, and it's a really fun kind of thing to do. So yeah, we chat a bit about that too. I just before recording this, I just watched a YouTube video as a part of trigonometry, which was by Zuby, and he was talking about the Black Lives Matter movement, and he was giving a bit of a different slant on kind of like how it was run and what their effect is with words and the rhetoric they're using. And I think if you're interested in the movement, because it is very topical as to what's going on right now, and you've got a spare hour, I would highly recommend giving it a watch, because it just gives you a different kind of view or slant on what's going on, because people are very quick to have this kind of knee-jerk reaction and get very emotional, and just literally kind of sort of like jump on the bandwagon, and it's almost done without thought and without logic, and without taking a step back and looking at the movement for what it is, and who's running it. And honestly, if you've got a spare hour, type in Zuby, the problem of Black Lives Matter. It's on Trigonometry's YouTube channel, and it covers everything I've just said, plus this idea of freedom of speech, and I think I said about the rhetoric and the words. So it's definitely worth a listen, because it's very current at the moment. And also this week watched a film called The King of Staten, which is much more kind of light-hearted and very witty and very funny. I don't generally find American sort of humor or comedy funny, just because it doesn't really mix with my personal thing of what I find funny. But this one's got a lot of wit in, and it's very well written. And so yeah, that's another good thing. I think it came out this year at some stage, I think. So yeah, I'd highly recommend watching that too. This conversation, this part 2, as I mentioned last week, the video cut out, so there will be a YouTube element to it, but it will just be like the logo with like a voiceover on it. So if you do fancy watching it, then you still can do. However, with the audio, there'll also be a lovely song at the start, and we're continuing the the kind of theme of Gregory Porter, and the song is called Painted on Canvas, and it just really fits in well with the talk on forest schools and children education and creativity. And it just is, again, his voice is just like velvet. So I do hope you enjoy the song and the podcast, and I just hope you're having a lovely week. And thank you for tuning in, and thank you very much. Enjoy. Your actual forest schooling, how does it work in terms of not like next to a curriculum or next to I don't know, how does it work? Is it a Monday to Friday thing? Is it like a after school thing, or
so
how do people get involved in it? How do people
there are many ways of working with forest school. From home educated children might form a group and come to me and say, can you do something with us every Tuesday morning for a term? Yes, I can do that. Children whose parents are frustrated by the normal schooling system, they might not have funding yet because they're autistic and they're getting tested or whatever, find normal school tricky, might come every week to do a whole morning outside with me, and so they can cope with the rest of the week at school. So there's that kind of thing. So yesterday, for example, beginning of term 4, went for a lovely walk with this guy so we could put a plan together for the term, because I'm saying to him, frogs and toads are migrating at the moment so that they can do their frog spawn thing where they were born. But also birds nesting, lots of bird song at the moment. So do you want to do about bird song? So I had a whole bag full of these birds that you squidge and they sing, and books and binoculars and all sorts. And he's like, no, just want to go for a walk. So on the walk, we decided we'd walk further down into the valley next to the canal. Then we spotted the river. Then we spotted the canal was flowing one way, the river was flowing the other way. So we could do science. We do history. So which came first and which is man-made and why were they built? So geography, history. We do all sorts of singing and rhymes. So that's using words and language. We work things out in terms of science and maths. So that's one example of one guy who comes to me because he finds the schooling system frustrated. I also work inside schools. So schools have sometimes parents associations that put money together because schools are finding funding really constraining at the moment.
It's really quite important. I think. I mean, it just goes against everything I've ever known in terms of what an education could and should be. Because like when you try, and so that person you spoke of, when you try and fit him into the parameter or the box, and he goes, actually, no, it's not my bag. And then he comes to someone like you, where you go, okay, what is your parameter?
Yeah.
Let's build it around you.
Yeah.
And I think that is the most. I just think why isn't it all like that? Why isn't it all tailored to the individual?
Yeah.
Just the individual and what their interests are and what their beliefs are.
Well, people argue, not forest school people, but people argue that there aren't enough teachers to do that for each child. Well, I've run groups of 30 children.
Really?
Yeah. So I will get parents involved because obviously you have to have a ratio of adults to children. Fine, we can do that because we can get parents involved. I usually get a TA or a teacher as well. And there is a lesson plan because you've got a lot of children and you need to consider quite a few different angles. But once you've got that, literally it takes 10 minutes to write that one up. So you arrive with the right equipment and the right kind of plan in your head. But what you can quickly do with a class of 30, we all have schemas. When we're born, we have preferred patterns of behaviour. And we also have preferred learning patterns as well. So that's visual, auditory, whatever, kinesthetic. So that I know that teachers get trained in, but I'm not sure if they get information in their teacher training about schemas. So it's SCHEMA. So you were born with a preferred pattern of behaviour. So you would do an activity that would give you a lot of pleasure, like trajectory, holding sticks, playing with sticks, making lines with sticks, going down a slide, climbing back up again, water, because it creates a straight line. You'd want to get involved with that water because you want to touch the water. You want to then get drain pipes and gutters and set up your own little system. You could have lined up your cars and got them to all go in lines, or you like train tracks. So that's just one schema, trajectory. There are 6 main schemas. So a forest school trained leader would quickly see what children are interested in moving things, transporters, envelopers, so wrapping things up and covering things over, maybe digging things in. So envelopers, and they would set up the activity for that forest school session so that those 6 main categories were taken care of. So, for example, building a den. You would have your lovely trajectory people collecting all the sticks because they're loving sticks because they're straight lines. Then you'd get transporters taking the sticks and moving them to where you're building the den. You'd get perhaps the envelopers covering with the tarpaulins and tying down. And you get connectors, perhaps putting all the sticks up together. So they're getting that lovely connecting thing. Rotation and circulatory are the other ones. So you can think of an activity that covers all those schemas. So all of those children are happy, contented,
nourished in some way, feeling like they're part of it. Yeah.
Well, what happens is endorphins are released when they are in that activity, and then you teach them when they're open like that, and you teach them a few real gems. I teach green breathing, how to calm yourself down, or how to negotiate using language, or whatever. So you can put little gems in at that time and they will never forget that. And then you've got to be careful. You've got to be really, really responsible. But that's how one leader can manage a large group and they're all getting the things that they need, more or less, that I don't think teachers consider in a classroom. And if I think about the education, how it is today, you're expecting 4-year-olds to sit on a carpet in a small group without fidgeting, without fiddling, without poking the person next.
Stop moving, stop breathing.
Not talking.
Stop doing everything.
So not expressing how they want to express.
It's mad, isn't it?
So no wonder lots of people
ADHD
end up, getting labelled.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get told, you can't do art, you can't sing, you're no good at sports. I've had so many adults come to me and teenagers saying, I've not ever done that since, or I haven't bothered about it, I haven't put my whole self into that activity, thinking that I can't do it because that one person with that one sentence.
It's traumatising, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
It's traumatising.
So it's fascinating when I get people in here. So I've just had a group, 2 guys, 1 engineer, 1 civil servant, told certain things. And these are guys who retired, so 65 plus, told certain things when they were children and haven't revisited.
It sticks, eh?
And they come and do this sort of art where they can, what do you mean I can just do how I want to do it? You mean, and look at the colour I'm using. Within week 2, they're saying, right, I want to do this. and I want to express myself in this way. And they have this huge opening, which can be traumatic because they start to process things they might have had a lid on for years. It could
years
be
and years and years as
that
well.
they engage with so many different positive things in their life because they're allowing themselves. They've reconnected with themselves. All that lovely stuff happens. So yeah, school as it is today is not ideal.
It does quash creativity, doesn't it? It does really suppress it. And do you know, if you think about the origins of education back in the Victorian times, Industrial Revolution, it was perfect because you needed people to have breakfast at 8 and then 12 and then 3 and then go home and then, just do that constantly. But the world has moved on so much since then.
Yeah.
And the education system that we have as a whole hasn't moved on at all. And the creativity that you spoke of, and about feeling it and about, just doing it just isn't allowed to flourish.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, the most depressing thing actually about it.
Yeah,
really.
Totally. I know Victorian time they needed to make education work for them so that when people came out of that education, they followed the rules and they were used to being controlled, and they didn't want them to think too far. They wanted them to do a certain job. In fact, Industrial Revolution killed creativity in individuals because it wasn't encouraged. And we're still using that same education system today.
2020.
Whereas my children are saying to me, okay, I want to be able to do a job that no one even knows exists yet.
Ooh, there's some
So I have a daughter
imagination
who's doing art, physics and psychology A-levels with lots of other bits and pieces in between.
Wow.
Like she works in the local pub. She volunteers at a hospice. She used to come out and do lots of forest school with me.
That's gonna it's good.
And I just think good because a lot of people are coming out of university going, okay, now what? They had not been encouraged to use creativity, use their skills, use the belief that what's making them curious is interesting enough to the outside world and is going to pay them. But we are going through a massive time of change at the moment. So we are going to need more individuals with their imagination and creativity than we can imagine at the moment. So the education system really does need to wake up and understand how debilitating they are making the future, because they are squashing and quashing people's own original ideas, their own. They're not being allowed to nurture their
instincts,
their uniqueness.
Yeah, agreed.
So I was thinking about this yesterday. If I had all the money in the world, the first thing I would do is try and create nature and creativity centres where people can go most of the time, children, people struggling with life, whatever it is, and get involved with musicians, gardeners, chefs. There are so many ways of being creative. It's not just with a paintbrush and a piece of charcoal. Outside spaces, creating buildings or solutions even, and mix it with a really good dose of being outside, getting your vitamin D, learning about hedgerows, plants, what are good for us to eat at this time of year. Yesterday I wrote something about wild garlic. It's just coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Making pesto
butter, just freeze the butter.
Yeah.
Oof.
Putting that out there, saying, trying to encourage people, get out there and pick stuff, because we've lost the nous to be able to look after ourselves and go and pick some mint. If you got tummy ache, go and pick some mint and drink some mint tea, because that's going to help you. Most of us don't know those things. So I think in an ideal world, if we had centres, I don't know what they would be called, but a good mix of Mother Nature, getting outside, so therefore being physical, stop going to the gym and things like that. Walk, climb things, climb a tree, figure out how to swing in a rope, on a rope swing, and I don't know. There are so many amazing things that children can go out and do.
I'm going to stop you there and say, actually, I think the thing to do is get on a treadmill and just run on the spot, pretending as if you're doing running in this
and look, I've got
box.
a screen in front of me, so I can look at the
news.
money markets and decide where I want to buy my shares later.
Why would you want to go for a run in the fields and maybe get a bit of rain on you and smell these beautiful smells?
Yeah.
No, the gym is the place to be.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
People. I had a guy yesterday literally say to me, "So do you go to the gym? Do you?" I was like, "No, I cannot stand that place.
Yeah.
No way."
I know. It's crazy.
I don't really do running. I do walking, but it's just a completely different sensory experience going for a walk out in nature in the woods. You know, there's.
How about with another person, so you can connect with a human being at the same time?
Right. Not just with your headphones, so you're in this little,
Yeah. How about even walk with a group of people so that you can all bounce ideas off each other and the energy will flow really nicely and you'll have this amazing experience and come back. You might arrive thinking, God, I'm knackered and I've had enough. And at the end of even if it's just an hour, that green therapy, fresh air, vitamin D, sunshine, rain, whatever it is, people or not people, go and sit with a tree. There are figures, if you want figures, that say after 15 minutes of sitting with a tree outside, your cortisol levels have gone down. So that's the stress hormone. And if you dig or just get your hands dirty with earth, there is an enzyme that gets into your system and releases endorphins.
Wow.
So how cool is that? So you could sit with your tree for 15 minutes playing with the earth in your fingertips. And you don't need to do anything else. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't need to be a certain somebody or a type or whatever. Just go and do that and you'll feel better and want to engage more with life. And I find the more stuff like that I do, the more alive I feel and the more like, okay, now what? What can I try next? And things will shift in my life somehow, I don't know how, so that I can try out that new thing.
Yeah.
And then someone comes to ask me about it. So I get to think about it and articulate and explain. And then it makes it real. And then it happens.
It's like when you told me about you doing the improv class.
Yeah.
And the whole time I was just like, oh, that sounds amazing.
It was so scary the first time I went. I haven't acted since I was at school. And I got to a point in my life where I just wanted to be silly again. So I thought, right, this has got to be it. And it is. It's just the best. The funniest thing the other week was me sitting in a chair. Someone else was my hands and arms. And it was a ridiculous conversation subject that I was given to talk about, while this person was then gesticulating, pretending that they were me. And I had tears streaming down my face because it was so funny. And it was so good to just be, I guess, a kid. Silly and not care, because everyone's in the same boat. Everyone in that room is in the same boat. Everyone has to be silly.
Yeah.
Not care what anyone thinks, because no one is pointing a finger and judging me.
And I think that's the key as well. Is just every now and then just put yourself in a situation where you're not going to be judged, and you're not going to be amongst people who judge you. And if you don't take yourself too seriously, and if you are afraid to stumble and fail and just try things and try something new, and even if it doesn't really work, the fact you've actually just done it, I mean that surely that can only do good things, really. I think I did a laughter yoga session at a festival.
Very nice.
And that was interesting.
Okay.
That was you having to lose all your inhibitions about what people thought of you because you were playing tennis while doing the noise of a saxophone or something.
Okay.
And it was just stupid,
Yeah.
but brilliant. Or
Yeah.
you were sort of going around the circle as a bike, and you were
Yeah.
like, just one thing, just don't crash into anybody. And so
Yeah.
you were like, you know,
Yeah,
it was just
yeah.
completely stupid. But
Yeah. Because everyone's doing it.
yeah,
It's fine. It's great. Yes.
and there is a beautiful scientific bit with laughter yoga, in that your mind and your body doesn't know the difference between a fake laugh and a real laugh.
Okay.
So you could be, just laughing because someone else is laughing, but your body is still releasing all the same endorphins.
Yeah.
And that is just
That's got to be good.
a beautiful thing. Yeah.
That's got to be good. So how did you feel after your laughter yoga?
Oh, great. So great the fact that I laughed so much.
Mm-hmm.
Great the fact that I had been in a group with people I didn't know at a festival.
Yeah.
And every day after that, I'd see someone from the group, and
Yeah.
then we talk about the experience.
Yeah,
And so it was
yeah.
enhancing conversation.
Yeah.
So yeah, in many different avenues, it was a beautiful experience. It really
Yeah.
was. Mm.
No, I love my improv stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like a new thing for me. And I also sing in a folk choir, which is really nice, actually. This is Birch Tree Folk Choir. And it's about not just singing. It's about, because we do a visualization at the beginning for a good 10-15 minutes. So you really chill. You really let your body relax. And then when we're singing together, the folk songs are traditional, written about real life, and sometimes, well, quite often, hard bits of life, like death, drowning, hard bloody work. I've had another baby and I've had too many. And so it's those great, like, human difficulties, or, we all know what it feels like, all those tough times. And they quite often local. So it's keeping that tradition going, that story going about how that came about. And at the end, we do another visualization. So we're silent, but we thank each other inside our heads for singing together. And we then obviously feel that thanks come back to us for us being part of that group. And I've been in many different choirs. This choir is different. I've been part of it for just over a year now. And it's different in that I know every single one of those people that I sing with quite well, that I can have a laugh with, I can support. When you're singing in a group, I don't know if you've ever done that, but people quite often look down. They don't look, eye contact, don't connect. But we're encouraged that if we don't connect with our eyes, and therefore really take in the people around us and what's going on, we don't make such a beautiful sound. But if we connect in that way, we really can see and sense, oh God, I got to slow down, or I'm singing too loud, so that we can be more of a whole. And I can't put my finger on it, what happens, but I feel really well nourished and really held and loved when I walk out of that door at the end. And that is just an hour and a half of singing, bit of closey eye visualization. I did put on a goggly virtual reality thing the other day, which was
how'd you find that?
Kind of interesting, but I quite like this reality.
I know this one's fine, thank you.
And I felt a little bit like discombobulated when I took them off, and my feet went a bit funny.
Yeah, I'm not a fan, I have to say. There were a couple of kids at the school who brought that in for lunchtime and played it. And first of all, it looks strange. The fact this dude is like, just waving about and then this it's not real.
Yeah.
It's not.
But the singing
real
stuff, ooh, that's good.
Okay.
Thinking about headphones and watching you go like that reminded me of the silent discos.
Oh, that's fun.
Been to a silent disco?
That's interesting.
They're good, aren't they?
That's really good.
Yeah,
but so strange when you take your earphones off.
Yeah.
And everyone's just kind of tapping, and there's a little. Good song, isn't it?
That is good.
It's
That is
amazing.
funny. Yeah, that is funny.
I think. Do you know what? I think anything that goes against the norm of your experience, so
Yes.
the norm of your day, the norm of your
Yeah.
the fact that you're at a concert or at a disco,
Yeah.
but there's no actual noise. That
Yeah.
is something quite freaky,
Yeah.
quite like, oh, this is different. You know, anything that pushes those different boundaries.
I think contrast, difference. That's
yeah.
that's sort of like brings me right back to the beginning when I was
saying, yeah,
talking
yeah.
about the art. What gets my attention, I think, not just visually, and therefore, I'd like to run back and paint that, but just in life, things that are different and contrast to the norm get my interest. And I think I would say that for human beings. And if you step into that difference, that's where we feel, ooh, this is interesting. And I think we all need a little bit of that regularly to feel that life's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could carry on for hours and hours, but I think that is a beautiful
I think that feels good.
knot to tie.
I think that's because I feel like just expressing these thoughts out loud has given me quite a lot to feel and think about. So yeah, it feels like a really rich place to stop and like sip a cup of tea and yeah.
And I mean, I'm going to put it on the spot now, but if you would like to do this again, I would love it because I think there's so much more to happen. But we can talk about that later.
I would love to do it again, but I feel right now it's like, have you ever gone around a museum and
There's a
you've had
point.
enough? You haven't done 2 floors yet,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you've done enough. You
The first
can't
floor-
take any more in.
The first floor's good.
That's where I am. First floor.
Let's go and
Don't
get a
need
tea.
to go anywhere else. Thank you.
Bye, museum. Thank you so much.
You're
That
welcome.
was so good.
You're welcome.
Oh my God, that was great. Thank you.
Great.
Beautiful.
I think the sun's on my side today. I got a lease of life, I feel okay. Need to call around, get them all out, jump in the car and get on our way. Cause there's love and there's strength in numbers. They can try, but they're never gonna run us down. Speakers loud, it's like we're on a come up. 5th gear, but they're never gonna race us down. I'm alive on a high, blue skies, there's nothing better. Hands up, we're on a ride, hold tight, we're laughing together. Ooh, we light it up and ooh, we can't be stopped and oh, can't hear us coming. Oh, we take off and keep it running, running. We take off and keep it running. Oh. Take a stop at the riverside, crack 'em open, pass around the light. Breathe it in and out, bring our guards down. Yeah, this is ours for the day and the night. Cause there's love and there's strength in numbers. They can try, but they're never gonna run us down. Speakers loud, it's like we're on a come up. 5th gear, but they're never gonna race us down. I'm alive on a high, blue skies, there's nothing better. Hands up, we're on a ride, hold tight, we're laughing together. Ooh, we light it up and ooh, we can't be stopped and oh, you can't hear us coming. Oh, we take off and keep it running, running. We take off and keep it running. Oh, oh, we light it up and oh, we can't be stopped and oh, you can't hear us coming. Oh.